Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Maybe it's because they found her annoying. A bunch of troublemakers, clutching their sticks, started walking towards her. "Stay back." The street vendor waved her hands in panic, her body shaking with terror. Arabella tackled these hooligans and kicked a stick on the ground, sending it flying towards one of their heads. The other guys who were looking for trouble with the vendor were struck in the stomach or head by several plates that Arabella had kicked their way. This only made them angrier, and they directed all their fury at Arabella. "Miss Bennet, do you know who these guys are?" Molly was dragged around by Arabella. One moment she saw several sticks falling at the same time. The next moment she saw countless fists and feet flying their way. Molly was so scared that she lost color in her face. What should they do? These guys didn't say anything, they just started beating them. Arabella put Molly behind the stall and brought the vendor there too. She stood alone in front of the stall, facing the 24 troublemakers with a cold aura. "Who sent you guys?" A group of immature kids came to provoke her? Did they have a death wish? The 24 hooligans didn't answer. They concentrated their strength to deal with her first. If they could catch one of them, the other would surely surrender. "Who are these guys?" The vendor peeked out from behind the stall, seeing that they had started fighting again. She was scared and retreated, asking Molly anxiously. "I have no idea." Molly peeked at the situation outside the stall. More than 20 people were ganging up on Miss Bennet. This couldn't continue. "Let's call the police." Yes, the police. Both of them took out their phones, their hands shaking, and were about to dial 911. "Dare call the cops." A few of them noticed their actions, threw their phones to the ground, and then tipped over the food cart. The cart pinned them down, and they saw stars in the pane. Several troublemakers deliberately stepped on the cart, applying more pressure. Molly and the vendor were half buried under the cart, and the pain was almost unbearable. Seeing that they didn't have the strength to crawl out, one of them lifted his stick and swung it at Molly. Molly blocked it with her hands. "Oh, it hurt so bad." "Are you okay, miss?" The vendor was worried. Another troublemaker was about to hit her. His raised stick was about to fall. Arabella turned around, noticing they were in danger. She quickly dealt with the guys in front of her and rushed over. Another guy was pulling out a knife, aiming for Molly. His orders were to seriously injure both of them. Arabella quickly took his knife, saw several sticks coming towards her from the corner of her eye, blocked them with her hand, quickly knocked them down, lifted the cart and rescued them. "Miss Bennet, are you okay?" Molly looked at the 24 hooligans lying on the ground, didn't have time to marvel at Miss Bennet's skills, and quickly asked, "You're hurt?" She got hurt all because she was trying to save them. Otherwise, with Miss Bennet's skills, how could she possibly get hurt? Arabella noticed that her hands were injured too. They were swollen like pig trotters. Just then, a hooligan suddenly pulled out a knife and held it to the vendor's neck. The vendor was so scared that she went limp. "What are you doing? Let her go." Molly didn't expect them to take the vendor hostage. After quickly getting in their car, they dumped her on the ground. "Are you okay?" Molly rushed over. Her hands were injured, and she couldn't support her. Arabella quickly helped the shop owner to her feet and gave her a once-over. Luckily, it was only a flesh wound. "Get out of here, I bet they're going to bring more goons." The shop owner tried to stand a few times, but she was too weak and dizzy. Arabella pulled out a wad of cash from her bag. "This should cover tonight's damage." No, I can't take this." The shop owner could tell they were the innocent ones, not the troublemakers. "Just take it." Arabella shoved the money into her pocket, hailed a cab, and only after she had left did she pick up her bunny purse. The purse was dirty, and so was everything inside it. A flicker of displeasure crossed her eyes. She was going to find out who was behind it. And they wouldn't get off easily. "Miss Bennet, shall we get you to the hospital?" Molly was nearly in tears, blaming herself. If she hadn't suggested going for a barbecue, they wouldn't have been attacked. The place was desolate, with few passerby and no surveillance. "It's just a scratch, no big deal." Arabella checked her hand and other places. "Do you have the medicine I mentioned at home?" Yes, Molly quickly wiped her tears. "Let's put some on when we get home." Luckily, nothing was broken. "Let's go." Arabella escorted Molly to the residential gate first. "Miss Bennet, who were those people? And your hand?" "It's okay, it'll be fine tomorrow." As for who they were, Arabella had no clue. She only knew that they specifically targeted them tonight. The shop owner was dragged into this mess. "Miss Bennet, don't overthink it, you have a game tomorrow, get some good rest tonight." Arabella comforted her a few times, watched her enter the community, and then hailed a cab. Back to Reflections Villa. Hans, as usual, had turned in for the night on time. After taking a shower, Arabella opened a drawer, found the medicine she needed, dabbed it on her wounds, and then pounded a pill to turn it into powder. She applied the medicine to her right wrist and skillfully wrapped it in gauze. Pulling out her phone, she issued a command in a cold voice: "Find those 20-something jerks who caused trouble at the end of Collins Fashion Road tonight." "They pissed you off?" Jack on the other end of the phone picked up on Arabella's displeasure. "Whoa, who dared to cross you?" Arabella looked at her soiled bunny purse, feeling even more irked. "I want to know who's pulling the strings." "Got it." Jack immediately set out to make arrangements. Arabella cleaned the bunny purse and wiped everything inside. Luckily, the items were wrapped, so they weren't really dirty. Although her period wasn't due yet, Romeo's thoughtfulness warmed her heart. The next morning, Arabella removed the gauze. To avoid attracting attention, she ate breakfast and headed to the garage to drive. "Miss Bella, your brother was up all night waiting for you again." Edith rushed out to say, "Tonight you three come home." "Great." Edith's mood immediately brightened. As long as Miss Bella came home, Serena wouldn't be a problem. Even though she had watched Serena grow up, Edith preferred Miss Bella. She always felt that Miss Bella was kinder and easier to get along with. Summerfield Exhibition Center. This was where the annual Solterra Cup Garment Design Contest took place. Arabella parked her car in the lot outside the center and headed for the front entrance to find Molly. The center was decked out with contest flags and banners, inside and out. It had the whole contest vibe going on. There were a lot of contestants on that day. A bunch of journalists were waiting by the door, ready to snap a pic as soon as they spot a famous designer. Molly was standing alone in a corner. As soon as she saw Arabella, she waved, "Miss Bennet, over here." Arabella walked over light-footed, exuding a cool aura. "Just call me Arabella, I'm your assistant today." "Okay." Molly nodded quickly. "Have you had breakfast?" "Had it." "Why haven't you bandaged your hand?" Molly saw the bruise on her right wrist and quickly rummaged through her backpack. "Let me bandage that for you, I just bought some gauze and ointment on the way." "No need." Arabella didn't want to draw attention. There were cameras all over the contest venue on the day. She didn't want to be the center of attention. Seeing that Arabella didn't intend to bandage her hand, Molly put away the gauze, revealing her own swollen hands. "You didn't apply enough medicine last night." "Huh." Molly didn't expect her to notice at a glance. She quickly explained, "I almost ran out of ointment last night. It took her a lot of effort to squeeze some out. But I just bought some new ones on the way, so if your hand hurts, you can tell me." "Okay." When they entered the main hall, Molly showed her successful registration text and got 2 contest cards. She was designer number 16. Arabella was assistant number 16. They got into the main venue smoothly with the cards. That was Molly's first time in a place like that, so many people and it's so pretty. Arabella glanced at the sign, "This way. 1 to 20 are in rest area A." At that point, there were only a few designers and assistants in area A. As soon as Molly walked in, she heard someone calling her name. "Molly? What are you doing here?" Molly looked at the direction of the voice, just as unhappy, Myra. Such a big shot for a poor girl daring to come to a place like this. Myra, dressed in a fancy dress, walked up to Molly arrogantly, planning to pick a fight. But seeing Arabella standing next to her, she could only awkwardly lower her raised hand. "You're just here to lose." Unable to touch them, Myra could only mock, "Don't cry when you lose." "Pfft, the one who'll be crying will be you." Molly gathered her courage and retorted, "Someone who doesn't even understand design, how dare you participate in this contest?" "Me? Participate in this contest?" Myra laughed disdainfully, "Who told you I'm here to compete?" "You're not." Molly looked at her, puzzled. Not everyone is as hard-working and striving as you. What you're desperate for is what I merely toss away casually. Why are you even here then? Molly retorted. Recovered from your last injury yet? Arabella coldly reminded from the side. No more pain. You too. Myra glared at them angrily, turned around and stormed off in a huff. Several designers around were stunned. What injury? What did they mean? Was Myra hurt by them last time? Was it Molly and her assistant? Oh my God. That's some hot gossip. Seeing Myra storm back to her seat, Designer 1 quickly made her a cup of coffee. Miss, here's your coffee. Myra took a sip and then splashed the coffee on the designer's clothes. Are you trying to burn me? I'm sorry. The designer was terrified, ignored his own burn and quickly apologized. I forgot to warn you, it was made with boiling water. Stay away from me. Myra's mood instantly worsened. Designer 2 quickly offered her some sweets. Miss, would you like to have a bite? I heard sweets can lighten up your mood. Are you trying to make me nauseous or fat first thing in the morning? So, you can hook up with my boyfriend when I get ugly. Designer 2 was quite frightened and quickly apologized. Miss, you misunderstood, I didn't mean it. What have you bought me, some cheap street food? Myra glanced at the brand of the sweet, not recognizing the small local manufacturer, and yelled impatiently, get lost. Miss, the competition hasn't started yet. Shall I give you a shoulder massage? Designer 3 approached gently. You're sensible. Myra let her massage for a bit, then grew irritated again. Didn't you eat breakfast? Why is your massage so weak? Designer 3 hurriedly increased her strength. Ah! Myra suddenly pushed her away. Designer 3 lost her balance and crashed into the wall, screaming in pain. Are you trying to kill me? You did that on purpose to make me mad. All of you get out. Designer 4 timidly approached with a small fan. Miss, cool down a bit, it's a bit hot here. Let me fan you. You want to mess up my hair with your fanning? Buzz off. Myra looked at them unhappily. If we don't make it to the top 10 this time, or beat Molly, pack up and leave. The company doesn't feed useless people. Yes, Mississippi. The 4 designers, although fuming inside, could only swallow their anger. I get it. Molly figured it out. Even though this competition is for individual designers, many companies would require their designers to participate. If they don't get a good ranking, they might get a pay cut, or even fired. Molly watched the situation and said to Arabella, those 4 designers work for the Cooper family's fashion company. I bet they're often bullied by Myra. Myra was so arrogant, capricious and excessive. The competition is about to start, Arabella said, not enjoying the gossip. Rest here a bit, I'm going to the restroom. Me too. Molly didn't want to watch Myra's arrogant display, so she followed Arabella. Just as Arabella came out of the restroom, someone called her name in surprise. Arabella. Arabella knew who it was as soon as she heard the voice. She didn't even bother to look up, just finished washing her hands and was ready to leave. Yolanda, do you know her? Designer 9, who was with Yolanda, noticed the hostility in Yolanda's eyes. It seemed that she not only knew Arabella, but also held a grudge against her. You made me lose face, are you happy now? Yolanda blocked Arabella's way. Arabella looked at this clueless person and said nonchalantly, seeing you bouncing around here, I'm actually not happy. You don't seem to have learned your lesson from last time. Yolanda was quite angry but burst into laughter the moment she saw a tag hanging around Arabella's neck, which read, Assistant No. 16-inch. My dad gave you 6 million, what happened? You spent it all? Now you have to work as an assistant in some small company? Where's your self-respect? Designer number 9 quickly chimed in, Yoli, she's working for a subsidiary of the Collins family. Wait, you mean the filthy rich Collins family? Exactly. A flush of embarrassment crept across Yolanda's face, but she quickly shrugged it off. Even in a billionaire's company, she's still an assistant, doing all the grunt work. Life's tough for her. Arabella remained silent. Without the Murphy family, you'd be scraping by. If I were you, I'd go home and get down on my knees and apologize to my parents. Maybe they'd be so happy that they'd give me some pocket money. Maybe you're okay being a puppet, but I'm not. Arabella glanced at the tag around Yolanda's neck, which also had the word assistant. She had tagged along with the designer number 9. You talk a big game. I thought you were a designer. Arabella didn't have time for her and was about to leave. Yolanda stopped her again. I'm wearing this tag to gain some experience, not to slave away like you. We're not the same. Yolanda was feeling pretty smug. I'm the only daughter in my family, and I'll inherit the family business. I'm just here to get a feel of the industry. What's wrong with that? Arabella found this quite hilarious and gave a small laugh. You think your family business can survive the month? Yolanda had a sinking feeling. What do you mean? Your family is going bankrupt. Stop talking nonsense. Yolanda shouted angrily as Arabella walked away. I'm nothing like you, a girl from a poor family who has to work. Even if I go bankrupt, I'll still be better off than you. Oh, we'll see about that. Arabella headed straight for the break area. Yolanda was fuming. Yoli, who is she? Designer number 9 couldn't resist asking. Yolanda gritted her teeth as she watched Arabella walk away. Just a nobody. You don't need to know who she is. Yolanda was raised by a cleaner and didn't know a thing about design. She was here today as an assistant to broaden her horizons, and maybe show off a bit, to increase her value and possibly catch the attention of the Panther family. Although she was here as an assistant, the designers in the company were fawning over her, waiting on her hand and foot. You need to outperform them, got it? Yes. Designer number 9 quickly agreed and made a mental note of how Arabella and Molly looked. Just as Arabella returned to the break area, a wealthy young lady eyed her with arrogance and walked over. Arabella. Arabella looked up, clearly not recognizing the lady decked out in designer clothes and radiating a strong aura. The standards for the Solterra Cup garment design contest have really gone down. Since when is a shameless woman allowed to participate? The wealthy lady's comment immediately drew the attention of a dozen people around Arabella, who found herself to be very confused. Molly was fuming. What the hell are you saying? Arabella, shameless? Are you blind or just plain stupid? Apologize now. The rich girl glanced at Molly, clearly not taking this poor girl seriously. Instead, she looked at Arabella with a haughty air. Who do you think you are? Just a little assistant, trying to steal someone's fiancé? Do you even know your place? You're so shameless, I feel embarrassed for you. Arabella was furious. Why do you have to meddle in others' affairs? It's only because my friend is so forgiving. If it were me. Before the rich girl could finish her sentence, Arabella grabbed her by the neck and slammed her against the wall. Everyone around was dumbstruck. The rich girl was in disbelief, her back and neck throbbing with pain. What are you doing? If you're sick, go to the hospital. Don't come here acting crazy. Do you want me to cure you? The rich girl was intimidated by her strong aura and held onto her hand. Let go. Who's shameless? Arabella tightened her grip. If you don't make it clear, you won't be leaving here today. Arabella, calm down. Molly was worried that she would beat up a bunch of people like she did last night. I dare you to do anything to me, believe it or not. The rich girl couldn't even finish her sentence as Arabella choked her until her face was red. Let go. My patience is wearing thin. You have 30 seconds. Arabella was in a bad mood today, and someone was provoking her again. You're stealing someone else's fiancé and you think you're right? The rich girl was gasping for air. Just as I thought, people like you have no shame, you won't even admit when you're wrong. Enough. Molly screamed at her, then quickly tried to calm Arabella. Arabella, don't be angry, let go first. Arabella tightened her grip. The rich girl felt like she was about to be choked to death and used all her strength to pant out one word, Serena. Arabella let go, having a pretty good idea of what was going on. The rich girl collapsed, and a few designers rushed over to help her. Oh my god, her neck is all red, someone get a first aid kit. What the hell is wrong with her, choking you like that? She's the miss of the Reed family. If anything happens to her, you won't be able to afford the consequences. You better apologize now, or if this gets to the Reed family, not only you will be implicated. People who saw this started guessing the identity of the rich girl. She's the most loved little princess of the Reed family, Brooklyn. No one could afford to offend her. Anyone who wants to experience what she just went through, step up now. Arabella's icy gaze swept over the designers. They were so scared that they didn't dare to breathe and lowered their heads, completely losing their previous arrogance. They all just saw Arabella choke Brooklyn. Her fiery temper could probably only be matched by the gentleman from the Macmillan family. They were both terrifying, inducing fear in people. Arabella looked coldly at Brooklyn. "Didn't your good friend tell you whose fiancé he is?" "What do you mean?" Brooklyn coughed a few times, finally caught her breath and looked at Arabella reluctantly. "This is something all the big families know. Are you spreading rumors here?" Arabella didn't say another word. She just whipped out her phone, dialed Serena's number, and put it on speaker. She had gotten this number when she first returned to the Collins family. Serena had insisted that she keep it in front of their parents, saying that they could make plans to go to the spa or grab coffee together. Arabella didn't want to play the part of the close sister with her, but to avoid making her parents uncomfortable, she saved the number, though she never called. In no time at all, the call went through. "Sis?" A sweet voice came from the other end of the line. Serena's address of sis threw Brooklyn for a loop. What's going on here? Why was Serena calling this girl sis? Were they actually related? "Do you know who I am?" Arabella's voice sounded a little annoyed. "Aren't you Arabella?" Serena was a bit puzzled. She was at home, in front of her parents, playing the part of the good girl. "Sis, weren't you supposed to be in a competition today? Anything you need my help with?" Upon hearing that, Kenneth and Louisa both urged Serena to put Arabella on speaker, to continue asking her if she had forgotten any necessary registration documents, her ID, or if there was any urgent matter. They wanted to help as much as they could. Serena quickly put the call on speaker, hoping to look good in front of her parents. "I'm asking you, who is Romeo engaged to?" This sudden question took Serena by surprise. She didn't understand why Arabella would suddenly call her to ask this question. What's going on? Kenneth and Louisa were also confused. Why would Arabella bring this up right before her competition? Arabella's simple grunt brought Serena back to reality. Even though she didn't know what Arabella's real intention was, in front of her parents, Serena still put on a show of being gentle and charming. "Of course it's you. Beep beep beep." Arabella hung up the call, then looked at Brooklyn as if to say, "You don't even know you're being used." Brooklyn was completely stunned by Serena's words. Why would she call this girl sis? Why would she say that Romeo was this girl's fiancé? What the heck was going on? It was definitely Serena's voice. Back at Reflections Villa, Serena was puzzled. She didn't understand why Arabella would suddenly hang up. When she tried to call back, no one answered. "Serena, what's going on?" Arabella didn't sound too happy. "About you and Romeo." "Dad, Mom, don't get it wrong, there's nothing going on between us." Serena was also clueless and quickly explained, "I don't know why sis suddenly got upset and asked me that. Don't worry, I'll text her later. The competition is about to start, let's not disturb her and let her focus." Even though Louisa said this, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She felt it necessary to wait for Bella to come back and ask her about it. "Okay." Serena temporarily suppressed her unease, wondering what the hell Arabella was up to. If she had known Arabella was going to ask that, she wouldn't have put the call on speaker. Just then, the competition bell rang. Numbers 1 to 20, get ready, you're up next. Hearing the announcement, the people in rest area A waited nervously. The male host in a suit walked onto the spacious stage. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, contestants and judges. Welcome to the annual Solterra Cup Garment Design Contest. Over the past few years, this competition has produced many excellent designers. They have spread our culture to several countries through their designs. Today, we're lucky enough to have some big names in the industry. We have Flora, President of the Fashion Designers Association of Solterra, Sherry, Editor-in-Chief of a fashion magazine Tess, President of the Women's Wear Association, Marilyn, President of Fashion Times, and Hans, CEO of Collins Corporation. Let's give them a round of applause." The audience broke into fervent applause. Also, among the 200 spectators below, we have the cream of the crop in the industry. Famous designers, seasoned fashion scholars, fashion experts, fashion gurus, etc. They will be voting on site to ensure the fairness and impartiality of the competition. Arabella, I'm kind of nervous, Molly said, looking at the stage from the back of the crowd, her body slightly trembling. You're not scared when you're live streaming in front of so many people, but now with only 200 spectators, you're nervous? Arabella said, while still engrossed in her mobile game. You've got some nerves. She even had the mood to play mobile games. The designers around them looked pale with tension. What can we do? Does being nervous help? Arabella asked casually. Molly shook her head. Since being nervous doesn't help and only affects your performance, why not adjust your mindset and face it courageously? The designers around them seemed to have an epiphany upon hearing Arabella's words. It made sense. She looked so young, but her thinking was so clear. Today, there are 120 designers participating in the competition. Now, I will announce the rules for the first round. Every 20 designers will form a group and compete together. In the end, only 30 designers and their assistants will advance to the second round. The news caused a stir in the crowd. Even the contestants felt the pressure. Out of 120, only 30 can advance to the second round. That's 3/4 eliminated at once. That's horrifying. The competition hasn't even started, and the atmosphere is already stifling. I heard that some well-known grassroots designers are participating today. I wonder what kind of works they will bring. I heard that the designer Molly, who does live streaming, is also participating. Really? I love her. What's her number? I don't know. With a radiant smile, the host announced, Now, let's welcome the first group of contestants with a warm round of applause. Sitting on the judges' seats, Hans, CEO of Collins Corporation, turned his gaze to the big screen emotionlessly. The first group consisted of 20 designers, each with an assistant. He first scrutinized the faces of the designers. None of them looked like Arabella. What number is Arabella? He asked quietly to the person beside him. Marilyn, the president of Fashion Times, was obviously clueless. Arabella? I've never heard of this name. Mr. Collins, do you know her? Let me check. He looked through all the information but couldn't find the name Arabella among the 120 designers. Let me see. Hans took over the information and checked the list of designers first. Still no Arabella. Could she be an assistant? He checked again and noticed number 16. He looked up to see a strikingly beautiful face on the stage. Under a set of luscious lashes, her eyes were bright, her nose delicate, and her lips were like scarlet petals. Though she bare a resemblance to her mother, her innate elegance and nobility made her stand out from the crowd without even trying. Her beauty was otherworldly. Was that his sister, Arabella? She's a stunner all right and seemed well behaved. But why would she participate in the contest as an assistant? Was there something fishy going on here? Hans was stumped. The stage was semi-circular, with 120 designers and assistants up on stage, facing the audience, separated by a screen in the middle. A big screen behind them magnified every movement they made. The host, microphone in hand, enthusiastically announced, Round 1 is all about using the fabrics and accessories provided by us. You have 40 minutes. Designers and their assistants make the most beautiful, temperamental dress you can think of. The pretty attendants lined up to distribute the materials and accessories. And now, let the competition begin. Start the clock. Once the host left the stage, all designers started designing. Each designer was given the same white gauze and identical accessories, pearls, rhinestones, sequins, and the like. This gauze is really good quality. Molly touched the fabric on the tray. Arabella, what do you want to design? Do you have any ideas? When I saw the gauze, I immediately thought of a wedding dress. Molly has a brainwave. Why don't we design a wedding gown? But these accessories. Molly noticed that the tray was chock full of materials. I guess a lot of designers will use pearls, sequins, and rhinestones to make their dresses look elegant. If we do the same, it won't be original. Arabella spotted the colorful embroidery thread on the tray and got an idea. Let's make a white wedding dress with rose embroidery. You can cut the dress, and I'll embroider roses on it with red thread and use the green thread for leaves. Great idea. Molly was immediately excited and picked up a ruler and scissors to start cutting the material. Hans noticed that they were brainstorming. His sister must have given the designer some ideas, providing her with motivation and direction. When the camera shifted to Arabella, she was busy embroidering the bodice of the dress with red thread. Hans noticed that her hand seemed to be injured. He whispered into the radio on his suit collar, "Zoom in on assistant number 16. The backstage crew immediately magnified the image on the screen. Not just Hans, but everyone now noticed the bruise on Arabella's right wrist. She's injured? And it looked pretty bad. But the real kicker was, despite the injury, she was still able to embroider quickly and skillfully. One person asked, "Who is that girl? She looks like she's in her teens." Another person exclaimed, "I can't believe she might not even have finished high school, but can embroider so well. It's a shocker." Arabella stitched the two colored threads onto the front of the bodice, and a lifelike rose immediately caught everyone's eye. In less than 10 minutes, she was done. The speed was mind-blowing. Oh no. At that moment, Molly accidentally snipped a small hole while cutting. She was close to tears after seeing the damaged gauze dress. "Arabella, what do I do? I was so nervous, I messed up the cut." The damage to the dress was at the hem of the white tulle skirt. Arabella took the dress and embroidered a big patch of roses directly onto it. With the roses covering it, the hole in the dress completely disappeared, and the 3D roses looked as if they were alive. "Arabella, you're so awesome." After embroidering dozens of roses on the bust and hem of the dress, the whole dress looked like a fairy had descended from heaven, dignified and grand. Not only did the judges notice their work, but the audience was also captivated. Unlike the other glittering gowns, their dress undoubtedly became the focus on stage, easily catching everyone's eye. They worked seamlessly together, finishing the dress quickly. All eyes were on their work and people started to comment. At that point, Arabella whispered something to Molly, who immediately made a beautiful train with more white tulle. Arabella also sewed roses onto the train, making the whole dress look even more dignified, grand, and attractive. Soon, positive comments started to arrive. "Number 16 finished so quickly. Which company is she from? The design is really good," someone said. Another person followed up, "I think the assistant is really creative. Her embroidery skills are obviously above everyone else's." Then, Arabella noticed that the petals on one of the roses didn't look pretty enough, so she tweaked it a little. Everyone was stunned. They all thought they were seeing things. Is she using her left hand? She was clearly using her right hand just now. I didn't expect her left hand could sew so well. How did she do that? People were amazed. She could embroider such beautiful roses with both hands. Hans suddenly found that his sister was like a mysterious treasure, always full of surprises. 40 minutes are up. All contestants, please stop. The host announced on stage, "Now the organizers have decided that we want the designers or assistants to wear their own designs. Come out in order of your numbers, and let the judges and audience score you." Everyone was stunned when they heard this. One contestant asked out loud, "What? Wear our own designs?" Many designers were worried because they had made their dresses very tight in pursuit of the effect of their designs, and some had hastily sewn on a lot of pearls and sequins to save time, which might break if worn. "Arabella, help me." Molly pleaded softly with her hands clasped together. "This dress is so grand, it'll look best on you. You have a better aura than I do. You wear it." No, it won't look as good on anyone else as it would on you. Please just wear it, I'm begging you." Molly kept begging, acting all sweet and cute. Arabella eventually reluctantly agreed. One by one, each person took the stage. Arabella changed into the dress in the dressing room and simply tied up her hair. The other designers and assistants who had already changed and were waiting to go on stage were surprised when they saw her. Even Molly was stunned. "Arabella, you're so beautiful. What an amazing beauty." Without a doubt, only she could bring out the elegance of such a dress, and the dress also accentuated her aura. They complemented each other. On stage, the number 10 designer walked out wearing her own design.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.